Well, hi, I'm Andre Faust. I'm here on site at the Macnaquac Dam. You can see behind that there's a bit of water flowing. Before I came, I checked the inflow, and it's today around now. It's at around 132,000 cubic feet per second, give or take a bit. But you know, who's splitting hairs? However, if the flow gets up to 150,000, or then we can start to see some flooding. 200,000, we hit the 6.5 at 350,000 cubic feet per second, which would be the equivalent of filling a building 70 feet by 70 feet by 70 feet every second. That means that we're going to be in excess of 8.23 meters in Fredericton. The flood level in Fredericton is 6.5 meters. Now, some people, they say, Andre, you're taking a little time preparing these graphs and all this kind of information about the flood. Well, the reason is quite simple. I've lived along the St. John River since 1960. And I've gone through the 1973 flood, the 2008 flood, the 2018. And one thing I can tell you, when it comes around this time of year, us people who live alongside the St. John River, we do experience certain levels of anxiety. And one of the best ways to combat anxiety is information. So I tried to the best of my ability to come up with the best information. Some of you may have seen the graphs that I've put on, but trust me, by the time those graphs gets up there, there's usually several of hours of work and number crunching beforehand. That's just the visual representation. I cross-reference, I look at other sources, I look at satellite shots, I look at the weather, I hate to say it, the Weather Network, and try to put all those figures together, do a statistical analysis, and come up with some results. Now, I've been saying that we're going to look between 5.5 and 6.5 meters in this flood here, but I do have an error of margin of about 30%, so don't take my word as gospel. Now, I brought a cheat sheet here with me, and what I'm going to do before I start the drone flight is that I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of floods in the St. John River. But there's nothing new. It goes back 300 years plus. And one that I see was, the first recorded one was in 1696. Yeah, back in downriver from where I live, in a place called Jimsig. They didn't call it a town, they didn't call it a city, it was a settlement. Well, the floodwaters there came to such a point that at one point they thought they were going to have to abandon the settlement. Then we're going to move the clock up, because I could go through every year, and that would take, I could do a 2-hour documentary on that. 1887, Fredericton experienced 8.17 meters, and according to what I've read, and my sources is from the government of New Brunswick, there was 2 feet of water at the lower end of Smythe Street. And according to their report, that there's a rock somewhere along there that marks that height, which, like I said, was about 2 feet above the level. Now, 1934, we had another significant flood, 8.5 meters, and that damage was $250,000. I mean, can you imagine at that time, right, relative to today's dollars? Well, that was quite expensive. The big I'll just delete that out, you'll know what I was getting at. It was in 1934. The waters reached up to 8.9 meters in Fredericton. And, one of the things to note with these floods, prior to the building of the Macnaquac Dam, ice jams were a big cause of the floods that we've had prior to 1968. Now, in all cases, the big factors were ice jams, lots of rain, quick thaw. Those are the common denominators in all cases. Now, we're going to move along to 1973, which most of us are still alive to remember it. Well, we reached a level of 8 point, was it 8 point, I gotta try to remember, 8.61. Now that was our level. Like I get, to try to get all this data selected out, even though I have a cheat sheet. They're just a couple words that I put on. Some stuff I leave out. Well, there we had abnormally high snow for that year. I think it was 40% more than the norm. The thaw was quick, and there was an ice jam, even though the dam existed. But that tells you how fast the water had. The ice below the dam didn't have a chance to rot. So it was ice jams, warm temperatures, and wind. All those factors came into play, and a quick freshet. So now that takes us to 2008, which, even if you're a young feller or a young female, you remember 2008. Well, 2008 we hit 8.62, which that was a bit of water. I had water in my basement then, but the cause for that was the freshet again, fast snow melt, mild weather, and lots of rain, and plus abnormal snow for that time. And now we go up to 2018, last year, 8.31 meters. Again, the cause were a very fast thaw and lots of rain. I forget how many milliliters we had in a short period of time. I think it might have been 50 millimeters. And while I speak on that, in 2008 we had 80 millimeters that fell like within 5-6 hours up in the northern part of the province. So those are some of the distinguishing factors. Now, what's going to happen here? We're not quite sure. I mean, today's April 17th, 2019. I didn't check the time, but trust me, it's in the afternoon. There are two things that we're looking at. That's Saturday and Sunday. And what happens on Saturday and Sunday is going to really either exceed what I had predicted or fall in the range. It's going to be one of the two. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go get set up, and I'm going to get my drone, and I'm going to give some footage of what I can see. Now where I'm at, I have to take into consideration electromagnetic interference, because I am very close to the dam, and if my readings on my on my technology is giving me strange reading, I just will abort. So hopefully I can get some footage. So stay tuned for the flight of the Spark. So having that done, I guess we're ready to mosey on back to the house there. What am I forgetting? I've always got to check, because I'm one for, let me go throw everything in the back seat. Okay, so I don't know how, this is my first time recording while I'm driving. I don't have a camcorder or anything like that, you know. So I was a little nervous. Actually, I had reasons to be. One is my own experience. I don't profess myself to be an experienced drone flyer. There's still a lot that I have to learn, and there's still a lot that I have to practice. I mean, it's just, you know, practice makes perfect. There is a lot to it. You got to learn how to, you know, there's cinematography tricks and all kinds of things that aren't, you know, what you would, you know, that you just don't pick up. You have to study, talk to people who have experience, and if possible, take some courses. Okay, I'm kind of pointing right now westward, and I'll be turning on. Now I'm kind of driving a little slower because I don't want to rock the camera. This is a dirt parking lot. Got a lot of lumpies into it, almost like a Great New Brunswick highways, especially the city of Fredericton. Was old Mayor O'Brien there. He's a good fella, but he must have a lot of friggin' money to drive through the city and hit those potholes and put his front end out of line and go and get it put back in the line and drive again, bust the rim. It must be nice to have that kind of cash that you can run the roads of Fredericton. I'm just taking a dig at the mayor. Well, we hit some turbulence there. That was a mother friggin' pothole. I hate itchy noses. Now it's possible that you might make a turn and the camera's going to fall over. It doesn't have a large base to support itself. I know how to do it differently next time. I don't know, I'm seeing somewheres. No, I've got enough footage. Looking both ways, and there's a Drufus that went parked on my starboard side. He's coming up across me. Slow. There. Yeah, I don't have the luxury of having another person on hand here. There we go. So we'll accelerate. I don't know how much. I just got to be sure when I make my turns that I'm not too sharp. You just can hear all the dirt coming off the wheels. I just washed my truck. Yeah, so I was saying I was a little nervous for running the drone. I used the smaller one. The other one, I just wasn't quite sure what it was going to do, and I think I made the right call. Yesterday when I ran the Hudson, I was having some problems. I figured it out. It was the power lines that were running overhead. And if those power lines could, you know, if those power lines could mess up my GPS, imagine what the electromagnetic interference coming from this dam would have done to it. It probably would have went into the drink. Make our turn. That's what I thought. I'd lose the camera. Okay, I'm going to shut it off because I got to concentrate on driving, not on